Good morning. Oh, sorry. Good late morning, everybody. It is 10:58 on Thursday, February the 19th of 2026. So, who am I? Why am I here? What am I going to talk about? And what do I possibly have to add to the Epstein files? And what do my theories matter? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested in a different theory about human transporting and why it occurs, I don't dislike Trump voters, but I really dislike Trump. And he did drain the swamp, but he didn't realize that as the swamp drained, his underwear would fall down with it because he is that much of a megalomaniac. Anything that I say or talk about on this channel is my opinion only, and I'm Canadian. Eh? So, I'm really glad that I have this phone with me so I can share with you what I think about Tyra Banks. Has anybody watched the Tyra Banks Netflix series? All 3 episodes? It's number 10 right now on Netflix. I watched it last night. 3 hours of my life I'll never get back. And I watched this so you don't have to. Oh, that's an old line. Remember when Spare came out and people said, actually, Candace Owens, she's the most memorable commentator on Spare I'll ever remember. Because when Spare came out, the Royal Grift, Paula, Brittany, Cheer Denise, that's how Cheer Denise really started to grow is she read Spare at the exact time because she's the best storyteller on the internet, as far as I'm concerned. Now, today being the second day of Lent, why on earth would I want to talk about Tyra Banks? Because she's disgusting. If any of you have ever watched America's Top Model and you're my age, I'm 54, okay? And I'll be 55 shortly enough. Don't want to talk about it. However, I realized something about getting older. The older you get, the more conservative you become. If you get older and you become more liberal at this age, that's okay. But if you become more liberal and you're Gen Z, I worry about you. Okay? Because nowadays, before I go on to Tyra, I've got 15 things going on my head at once, but I can promise you they will tie in all together. I don't dislike Trump supporters. I dislike Trump. The one thing he did for America, and I'm Canadian, so you can imagine how my sentiments are toward Donald Trump, considering that I watched him on The Apprentice in the early 2000s. So when I think of the early 2000s, and I'm 54, that was 26 years ago. I'm not very good at math. So I was like 34 years old. 34, 54, no, 24, 34, 54, 24, 30, yeah, 24 years old. So I used to watch America's Top Model. I used to watch all of this. And I always believed everything everybody told me. So I watched the Tyra Banks Netflix series, and to spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it, and you want to know what happens, watch this because I'm going to give you all the spoiler alerts. I think Netflix put that together very, very well because they didn't try to make Tyra Banks look like an innocent little dove. They showed her for the beast that she is. And I remember after America's Top Model, she tried a talk show. She was on Ellen. She was doing big things. And oh, she thought she was the best model in the world. Now, does anybody remember? And they didn't show this part, but they showed the two people that worked with Tyra Banks. You know, the very flamboyant gentleman. He's so kind, and he said, like Tyra Banks and Janice, what's her name? That ex top model. Back in the day, kids, there used to be top models. Hi there, Munchkin. Hi, Mohammed. Mo. Sorry. Mohammed. Sorry, Mohammed. Um, really? Thanks. I don't try to be cute. You know, I'm starting to get grays now too. My hair is starting to thin right up here. Yeah, it's time for some more Botox, maybe. I do. I get a little bit of Botox sometimes. Only twice I did, though. I just got a tiny bit in my forehead and just a little bit here. You know why? Because I was in a wheelchair for a year because a doctor, a surgeon didn't admit he made a mistake. Yeah, and that's all on my channel, and that's why I started the channel. Hi, Daisy from Canada. Okay, do you want my theory on human trafficking? Okay, and Tyra Banks? She was part of it. She was part of the Miss USA. This is all my theory, okay? Why was she such a bitch? Why? Why did people revere her? Why? Did she start off with good intentions? And as she got bigger and bigger, was she influenced by the perverts? Because why does that woman in The Sound of Freedom look exactly like Tyra Banks? Although in The Sound of Freedom, they do show the woman that they arrested in the movie on film, like the real one. So I'm just saying, okay, so there's that. And the fact that she treated these women like shit. And if there are any survivors of America's Top Model out there, I want to hear from you because they did not share a lot of stories about what happened to these women afterwards. And these women nowadays would be in their 40s and 50s. There was one woman on, this is the worst story that I heard. At any rate, so then the worst part about Tyra Banks' show is there was a woman named Kaylee, I believe, and I want to protect her name. But she was brave enough to go on this show, and she was date art on America's Top Model, and they filmed all of it. Oh, yeah. What a bunch of snakes. So, that's the gist of the show. You just learn about bunch of dirty dogs there are. And the guy, remember the runway guy? He was a guy, but he was the best runway walker and he was a guy. Well, he was paralyzed and had a stroke and couldn't talk. Isn't that interesting? Why? Oh, and Tyra Banks, I barely recognized her. And she's 50. She must be younger than me. No, I was younger than her when I watched her, right? Well, I got it from the dollar store. I'm not rich. I'm doing my best, Landon. I'm doing my best, Wyatt. Hi, Landon. Hi, Gull. Okay, so this is my theory about human trafficking. And this is based on numbers from The Sound of Freedom. So, when was The Sound of Freedom made? Probably knowing Mel Gibson. Why does everybody have to blame Mel Gibson for telling the truth? And another theory I have is this: Jeffrey Epstein. Why did he give Virginia? Okay, Jeffrey Epstein was a black male king, right? But he gave and took, well, I don't know if he gave Virginia the photographic, when you would take the pictures, but why did he take the picture? Why? He always had a soft spot for Virginia Giuffre, and I think that Jeffrey Epstein hated Fergie and hated Andrew because Epstein knew they were useful idiots. He knew Virginia wasn't stupid. Or else, why would he want Virginia to have his baby? Why? He had a soft spot for her. And why else would he take a picture? Why would a blackmailer take a picture and give it to one of his people, as he called them? Or as Trump called Jeffrey Epstein stole his people. Really, they're your people, Donald? Is that why sex trafficking has gone up 5,000%? Maybe Jeffrey Epstein took that down as collateral because he also hated Donald Trump. Do you blame him? I'm going to say something about Epstein that all of you are going to run away and hide from. The reason women said that Ghislaine Maxwell was worse than Jeffrey Epstein is because she was a woman, and women can be malicious. Any woman out there who disagrees with me, you're lying to yourself. Women can be cruel, okay? And jealous and vindictive. Why else in the Bible do they say there's nothing worse than a woman's scorn? It's in the Old Testament, but still. There's nothing new under the sun. Trust me, I'm reading the Bible every day for Lent because of Charlie and Charlie Kirk. And I didn't know who Charlie Kirk was until he died. But why did Epstein take that picture? Because one day, maybe he knew that Virginia, in case he died or something, could bring down Andrew. Why else? And Andrew's taking the hit for everything. And the royal family should be abolished today. The Queen knew about it. I remember Brittany from the Royal News Network. I emailed her and I said, "You're going to be on Dan Wooden, Brittany." And this was 3 years ago. And she is. And she was so naive when she started. She reminded me of a boss that I used to hate, but I didn't unsubscribe to Brittany because I realized Brittany was a trigger and Brittany had nothing to do with my old boss from Jenny Craig. Brittany's a lovely, lovely person from the Royal News Network. And if you want to get honest to good feedback on the Royals now, you will get it from her for real. But at the beginning, she was naive. Now she's not. Brittany from the Royal News Network is excellent. I told Cheer Denise when she started her channel, you're going to be at, 100,000 in a year. She was there before a year. I can spot talent. Okay. Maybe I'm not as charismatic as other people. I don't know. But Epstein, I think, really set Andrew up. Andrew's taking the hit. The royals should be abolished because the Queen knew. Brittany, I remember from the Royal News Network, used to say, "The Queen prays. The Queen prays." And then